The new year is here, and while everyone is busy looking ahead, I'm feeling a bit retrospective. And that's what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to dive into my top 5 favorite books of 2025. The books that really stuck with me, made me feel something, or maybe just reminded me why I love reading so much in the first place. Welcome to the first ever Blackthorn Books video. I am Dallin R, and if you are a fan of the Stormlight Archive, then you know why my friends call me the Blackthorn. Today we're looking back at 2025 and my top 5 reads of the year. It feels oddly fitting to start this channel with a retrospective because I think the best way to get to know someone is through the stories they love. Hopefully this gives you a sense of my taste and lets you see if it lines up with your own. But before we dive into the list, here at Blackthorn Books, I'm all about realistic reading. I'm not a guy who reads 200 books a year. I don't have thousands of titles under my belt. I just love fantasy and sci-fi, and I want to share that love with all of you. And to be clear, this isn't a dig at anybody who does read 200 plus books a year. Kudos to you. I'm happy for you. Truly I am. I only have about 30 minutes to an hour on average per day to read, and I also just enjoy going at a slower pace. So if you've got a full-time job, kids, and other hobbies, and are still carving out some time to enjoy your reading, then I think you'll feel at home here. If that sounds like your corner of the internet, then go ahead and click that subscribe button so we can hang out more. All right, let's get to it. Starting with number 5. This one might be controversial for some of you, and that's fine. Coming in at number 5 is Wind and Truth, Stormlight Archive number 5 by Brandon Sanderson. Did I enjoy this book? Yes, for the most part. Do I think this is Sanderson's best book? No, not even close. But you might have guessed from the channel name and even this tattoo on my wrist that I'm a big fan of the Stormlight Archive. This series reignited my passion for fantasy back in 2019 when I first read it, so it will always have a special place in my heart. But let's give criticism where criticism is due. There were definitely things I disliked about it, but nothing so egregious that it made me dislike the book as a whole. I feel like there were some definite pacing problems. This book seemed to drag more than Rhythm of War, which I didn't think was possible. It spent a lot of time on stuff that I just didn't really care about. I wasn't that invested in. And I felt like there was some cheesy dialogue. And one line in particular just really took me out of the book. I am the law! And I had to pause and laugh for a minute before I could get back into the book. But hey, overall, it's another Stormlight book that advanced the plot, and we finally got some answers to some big questions posed through the first 4 books. On a separate note, if you'd be interested in my ranking of the Stormlight Archive books, let me know in the comments. I feel like that could be a good video, but I only want to make it if it's interesting to you, because I want to make things that you want to watch. Moving on to number 4. Magician by Raymond E. Feist. Now, so I got this at a used bookstore for like $4. So it doesn't have the nice dust jacket that goes over the top of this, but maybe you'll be able to say that, see here, Magician. I don't know if that's going to show up at all on there, but now technically this is 2 books, Magician Apprentice and Magician Master, but the version I have combined the 2 into 1 book. This is the first entry in the Rift War saga. It was published back in 1982, and man, sometimes I love these old classic fantasy books. For one, it just has such a nostalgic feeling. Even if it's new to you, classic fantasy just has this nice cozy feeling to it. And not cozy like Legends and Lattes, but more of like simpler times when life wasn't full of stress and the looming threat of AI taking our jobs. Back to a time when technology was a choice, not a necessity of life. Well, if you've never heard of the Rift War saga, here is a quick little spiel about it. War is coming to the Kingdom of the Isles from another world, bringing with it chaos and destruction. Pug yearns to train as a warrior and fight for his kingdom alongside his foster brother, Thomas. But instead, he is forced to follow a different path, a path that will lead him right into the heart of the enemy, and one that will forever change the course of the war and 2 worlds. Yes, you heard that right. The main character's name is pug. And yes, it makes me think of the dog from MIB and also Pugsley from Addams Family. But putting that aside, one thing I really enjoy about going back and reading these older fantasy series is that you get to see where the genre really latched onto things and where we diverged from the past. And in the case of the Rift War saga, this book feels like it was incredibly ahead of its time, at least in terms of its scope. This series walked so something like Stormlight Archive could run. It does sort of have this Alethi versus Parshendi kind of vibe going on here. But it also has the common tropes that you've grown to love. There is some classic orphan farm boy with a big destiny. There's some political maneuvering, some unexplained soft magic, epic battles. It's got all of it. I do think it's important to note, though, however, that it is a product of its time. It came out in 1982. So, align your expectations accordingly. And if you want specifics, well, the female characters aren't particularly well written. And yeah, it's a bit tropey. But it was written when these things weren't really tropes yet, so they weren't cemented in. So if you plan on reading it, just do it with that context that yes, it's from the early 80s. One thing I absolutely love, though, is the covers. Oh, I'm a sucker for these older covers. This one goes so hard. I'm interested in pushing forward with the Rift War saga. I've heard the first trilogy is great, but that the second trilogy might be considered even better, and I intend to continue reading this series. Okay, number 3. And it's another controversial one, and that is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Yes, this one got mixed reviews from Booktube and Book Talk, but I just don't really understand the hate that this book got. Like, obviously, it's not the Blade itself, and it doesn't punch at the same level like the character work that we get with the likes of Logan Ninefingers and Sandan Glokta, but I don't think it was pitched or marketed that way. I think people just had an expectation that it would be like that, and it wasn't. But what this book is an exciting pseudo-historical fiction with a fast-paced adventure story. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with this sort of B-grade supernatural movie called A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was basically a dark fantasy Avengers team-up movie. It had Sean Connery as Alan Quatermain, the Invisible Man, Dorian Gray, Captain Nemo, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You get the idea. This book felt like a new version of that, and 12-year-old me would be happy to know that this book would exist in my adult life for me to read. This story puts together a priest, a knight who can't die, a werewolf, a necromancer, a vampire, an elf that can turn invisible, and a secret heir to Troy. And they try to reclaim the throne. It hits on themes such as corruption of established systems like governments and religions. It hits on the power of redemption and found family. One of the biggest complaints I see about the First Law trilogy is that the first book, The Blade itself, takes a long time getting going. And if you felt that way, then I think you'll be relieved to know that it's absolutely not the case here with The Devils. I quite enjoyed this one. It was a fun read, and that's why I've got it as number 3. Okay, coming in at number 2. Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. Holy shit. Have you ever read a book that felt tailor-made for you? Like everything about it, from the prose to the plot to the characters to the artwork to the tone and mood, just perfectly scratch a part of your brain that you didn't even know had an itch. Because that's the Empire of the Vampire for me. First of all, vampires are scary again, and I love that.
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
And in that vein, this book is not going to be for everyone. And I think that's what makes it special. Some readers are going to find this edgy and emo and not in the cool Robert Pattinson Batman way. Some readers are going to find it cringy and think like, ooh, I'm a tough guy, look at me kind of vibe. But hey, that's okay. That's what makes the fantasy community so special. We all have tastes and preferences, and we all deserve to find books that really match up with ours. And for me, this book knows exactly what it wants to be, and I am the intended audience. And in my opinion, that is such an upside, because when an author tries to appease to everyone, they end up pleasing no one. But this book, oh man, gothic setting in a grimdark world, it doesn't shy away from the blood, the guts, and the sex. Yeah, content warning, this is definitely for adults. It's steamy and spicy and bloody and God damn it, I love it. If book girlies get ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, then Empire of the Vampire is for the book bros. Think Bloodborne meets Interview with a Vampire, and you're getting close to the idea. One thing I love that this book does, and I hope and absolutely want to see more books do this, is it has artwork scattered throughout. It is such a nice touch, and it just feels so good when you're reading and then get rewarded with some gorgeous artwork. I mean, look at these. They're so cool. They're so cool. I could gush on about this series forever, but let's move on. Coming in at number 1. Before I say what it is, let me preface this. Before I started reading the series, I had little to no interest. From what I had heard about it, it just didn't seem like it would be for me. And if I'm being honest, I thought it sounded even a little bit cringe. But a friend who I trust convinced me, and I thought, hey, I'll give it a shot, and if I don't like it, whatever. I tried it. And boy, oh boy, am I glad that I was wrong about this one. And that is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. This book was a reminder to me that reading is supposed to be fun. We don't always need to read for literary analysis. We don't need to read to sound pretentious to our friends. Sometimes we just need a man and his heart boxers, a sentient talking cat, and their pet raptor trying to survive a mega dungeon televised for the whole galaxy. I mean, if you've been watching Booktube or Book Talk, you've seen Dungeon Crawler Carl everywhere. But it's for good reason. This book is witty. This book is funny. But more than that, it's got that underdog heart, baby. The characters just leap off the page. You will cheer for them and love them, and you will want to see them succeed. You will see yourself in them. And like all great authors, Matt Dinniman holds a mirror up to society in such a scathing way. Which, for this book being such a fun little lighthearted book, I wasn't really expecting this level of societal, social commentary. And yeah, I absolutely love this series. I've read the first 3, and without a doubt, I will be continuing Dungeon Crawler Carl into 2026. I can't wait to see what happens next to Carl, Donut, and Mongo. Well, that's going to wrap it up for my top 5 reads in 2025. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you clicked that subscribe button. I have plans for this channel, and I want to build a great community, but I can only achieve those plans with your support. You've been excellent. Thanks so much for watching Blackthorn Books. Stay safe, stay happy, and keep reading. Peace. I'm interested in pushing forward with the Rift War saga. I'm interested in pushing forward come on! That's what makes the fantasy. Yeesh, that was rough. Well, it's just the first one.